BMW's X7 classily meets the needs of wealthy buyers wanting a super luxury large SUV and needing to seat up to 7 adults. It's essentially a supersized X5, but it makes far more of a pavement statement, and inside feels very high-end indeed. If you don't much care what the neighbours think, or perhaps even if you do, then you'd probably quite like one.
BMW was the first manufacturer to make a large luxury SUV that didn't fall about when it was presented with the corner at speed. So if anyone was going to be able to make a 5.1 metre Leviathan weighing the best part of 2.5 tonnes handle sensibly, you'd have to think that this Munich maker would be in with a chance. Sure enough, the X7 manages to be a deal more agile than you might expect it to be, particularly if you happen to be in a variant fitted out with integral active steering, which steers the rear wheel for greater cornering stability, or a model featuring the brand's latest anti-roll stabilisation technology. Now, this setup uses automatically adjustable anti-roll bars that give you lots of suspension movement for a great ride in a straight line, yet which spring into action through the bends to compensate for the body roll that you'd otherwise get. All models get standard air suspension and, of course, xDrive 4-wheel drive. You want to know about engines. Most buyers will opt for the xDrive 30D variant, which uses a 265 horsepower version of the brand's usual straight-six single-turbo 3-litre diesel, combined with the 8-speed Steptronic Sport Auto gearbox, which features across the range. This volume variant records up to 33.6 mpg on the WLTP combined cycle and up to 171 grams per kilometre of NEDC-rated CO2. The mainstream alternative is the 340 horsepower xDrive 40i petrol derivative. Like the base diesel, this model can be ordered with an optional X off-road pack, which gives you a sump guard, specific driving screen interfaces, and a series of transmission and suspension settings for various different surfaces. But a typical X7 buyer will more greatly prioritise on tarmac performance, and in that case may very well be interested in the two full M-spec variants also on offer, the 530 horsepower petrol M50i and the 400 horsepower diesel M50D we're trying here. Both feature a standard M Sport differential, which when cornering at speed allows drive torque to be redirected from a faster turning wheel to a slower turning one, and that helps to fire you from bend to bend. US, Asian and Middle Eastern buyers want their luxury SUVs to be big and very imposing, so the X7 is. If you want one here, that's what you're going to like about it. Is this huge, oversized front grille a step too far? Well, not if you take the view that there's simply no point in a car that's 5.15 metres long, 2 metres wide and over 1.8 metres high being aesthetically shy and retiring. This one certainly isn't. As is appropriate in such a large SUV, you climb up into the driver's seat of an X7 and find yourself positioned commandingly in a cabin that's high in quality, but perhaps lacking a little in terms of sheer specialness. Adding in little touches like the crafted clarity glass finishing for various controls helps quite a lot here. It's hard to fault the cabin ergonomics, which see you perfectly positioned on brilliantly supportive, multifunctional comfort seats trimmed in stitched merino leather. And viewing digital screen technology delivered by the standard Live Cockpit Professional package, which combines a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster with a centre dash infotainment monitor of the same size, all of it accessible via touchscreen, via the usual lower iDrive touch controller or voice control. There is some clever stuff incorporated into this sophisticated setup, including gesture control and what BMW calls an intelligent personal assistant, which works a bit like Siri or Google Assistant that you might use on your phone, and it's there to answer questions that you can voice to the car as you drive it. Once you take a seat in the second row, you'll quickly appreciate the generous legroom on offer that's made possible by this car's lengthy 3,105mm wheelbase. We've got the X7 in its standard 7-seat configuration here, which gives you this 3-person bench. Your alternative is to specify the optional 6-seater package, which instead fits out the second row with 2 individual comfort spec seats, similar to those at the front, each with their own armrests and cushion headrests. On balance, we'd prefer to stick with this bench. After all, it's not as if you're lacking luxury here. You get these exquisitely cushioned headrests, plus electric seat controls for the two outer positions that adjust the backrests and move the powered seat bases through a range of 145 millimeters. Right, enough with that. Let's take a look at the third row. It's supposed to be adult friendly. Once installed back here, there's pretty much the same sort of space as you'd find in a large MPV. In short, what's on offer here is a first-class SUV that doesn't demote third-row passengers to third-class travel. Okay, let's finish with a look at the boot. Now, this powered two-piece tailgate can be operated by gesture control, and it opens to reveal a cargo area that's 326 litres in size. That's about the same as the bit of a Ford Focus, even with all three seating rows in place. Now, to make loading easier, you can lower the height of the air suspension using this button on the edge of the lowered tailgate panel. More buttons on the left-hand side of the hatch aperture allow you to electrically retract those rearmost pews and virtually double the size of the cargo area, and you can electrically retract the second row bench too, which can, if necessary, fold in a 40-20-40 split, eventually freeing up as much as 2,120 litres of total capacity. That assumes that you've stuck with your X7 in its standard 7-seat form. There'll be plenty of people who will say that this car is too big for our market. They said that about the Mercedes GLS when it was launched, and they were proved wrong. They will be again here. In an SUV market full of so-called 7-seaters that can actually only take small children in their rearmost pews, the X7's capacity to properly accommodate 7 adults is refreshing. Don't be misled. Apart from a Mercedes GLS, no other SUV can do that. And that Merc struggles to match the dynamic capability of this BMW, both on and off tarmac. This X7 will have a distinctive appeal if you like the brand's cool sporting vibe, you have a large family, and you want the very best. Size matters, but then you always knew that, didn't you?